Hi. In this video, I'm excited to share a complete guide on watercolor, covering every step from start to finish, and the best part is that you can do it without spending a fortune. Believe it or not, it's entirely possible to achieve impressive results using just basic and affordable materials, like those easily found in any school stationery. The idea here is to make watercolor art accessible to everyone, regardless of their budget. Although our focus is on using basic materials, don't be mistaken into thinking that it will compromise the quality of your work. On the contrary, you'll see that it's entirely possible to create a watercolor piece with a professional finish, filled with vibrant and expressive colors, even with simple and affordable resources. I'd like to mention that this is just a small part of a series of content I've been developing about watercolor for my channel. Over time, I'll be delighted to post several other videos covering different aspects of this technique. One specific aspect of my content is transforming watercolor paintings into personalized tattoos. It's truly inspiring to create paintings that will later be immortalized on someone's skin as a unique and meaningful work of art. Each tattoo is designed according to the client's request, taking into consideration their preferences, ideas, and desires. It's a wonderful opportunity to combine the world of watercolor with each individual's personal expression, making the final result even more special. Developing a watercolor that will later be turned into a tattoo requires a careful and meticulous approach. Aspects like color choice, details, and composition are crucial to ensure that the final tattoo has the desired appearance and conveys the intended message. I use simple school-grade cardstock, which has a very fine weight for watercolor, but it works perfectly. What I did was take the cardstock and tape its edges with masking tape. Masking tape is a common tape that you can easily find in any stationery store. You secure the sides firmly so that when the paper gets wrinkled with water, it can dry and become completely flat. This way, it won't be wavy, it will be perfect afterward. I used a hairdryer to speed up the drying process since watercolor often leaves the paper wet for a long time. Forcing the drying process really speeds things up. For this watercolor, I opted to use the Faber-Castell watercolor pencil, which is an excellent tool for this technique. When preparing the pencil, I didn't sharpen it to get a fine tip, but rather to generate some colored graphite powder. This step is essential for the next one. With the colored graphite powder generated, I carefully transferred it to small plastic containers known as ink caps, which are commonly used in the tattooing world. These ink caps can be easily purchased online and are perfect for this purpose. One of the crucial steps in this process was taking each container and filling it with the colored graphite powder. Then, I added water and mixed it until I got a consistent paste. This transformation of the powder into a paste enabled a more practical application of the watercolor. Now, I can use it directly with the brush, simply wetting the brush in the cup before applying the watercolor to the paper. The result is astonishing. The quality matches that of professional watercolors available in the market, which usually come at a higher price. The great advantage is that this homemade technique is extremely easy to do and super convenient to apply. The range of color possibilities is vast, providing an incredible array of options to create professional watercolors with the same outcome as commercially available ones. And the best part is that the cost is significantly lower, allowing us to delve into this artistic world without breaking the bank. A valuable suggestion is to get a set of at least 48 watercolor pencils. Of course, if you can invest in a set with even more colors, it'll be even better, as you'll have a wide range of options to bring your creations to life. The more colors at your disposal, the more amazing possibilities to work with different shades and nuances. When using watercolor pencils, you'll notice how vibrant and intense the colors become in your watercolors. It's impressive how you can obtain tones exactly as you desire, ensuring that the depicted water remains faithful to the original image. With a bit of practice and patience, you'll be able to master this effect uniquely and in a personalized manner. During the creation process, I made adjustments in the composition to highlight the man playing the guitar in the scene. I removed some beach rocks that I had previously added, focusing on the importance of the main character. It's essential to have an overall vision of the artwork and identify which background details can be simplified to create a more balanced composition and highlight the foreground, where the essence of the scene resides. While creating the watercolor, I followed a specific order for painting, starting with the background, the third plane, then the second plane, and finally leaving the main character to be painted last. It's important to mention that in watercolor, the approach is a bit different from tattooing, as we begin by applying the lighter tones first. So, I started the watercolor by working on the background, using softer tones to gradually build the atmosphere of the scene. Moving on to the second plane, I followed the same approach, applying lighter tones to create a smooth transition between the previous planes and the foreground. From this point, I started painting the area of the hat, as by beginning with the upper parts of the watercolor, I reduced the risk of accidentally smudging the previous layers. With this strategy, I could work more confidently, maintaining the integrity of the colors I had already applied. Next, I concentrated on getting the skin tones of the character right. For this, I started by applying a softer base color, which served as a foundation for the skin. This process of building layers from lighter tones is essential to achieve a skin tone as close as possible to the original. Subsequently, I refined the colors using darker tones, adding more depth and nuances to the character's skin. This technique of layering tones allows for the creation of shadows and highlights, making the painting more three-dimensional and realistic. After completing this stage of the watercolor, I'm excited to share the entire creation process with you in a second video. In it, I'll present the photos of the elements I used to bring this unique tattoo to life. In Photoshop, everything was carefully separated into multiple layers, and during the video, you'll have the opportunity to witness the magic of digital composition. I'll explain in detail how I transformed each element into a harmonious and captivating composition, allowing the design to come to life in a special way. When working with separate images to compose this watercolor, it's crucial to have a good understanding of the visual nuances that make all the difference in the painting. One crucial aspect is considering shadow projections, especially when dealing with elements like beach rocks. To achieve a realistic and immersive representation, it's essential to take into account the position of the sun in relation to the scene being constructed. When selecting various different photos to compose the image, it's vital to ensure that they are all aligned in terms of sunlight. This is crucial to prevent the painting from looking disjointed or incorrect, maintaining harmony and coherence with natural light. Meticulous details, such as the lighting on the footwear, play a crucial role in creating a captivating and realistic watercolor. By observing the direction of light in the scene, it's possible to capture the interaction of light with the texture and shape of the shoe, ensuring that it seamlessly integrates with the rest of the painting. Another example is the attention to detail on the blue pants, where specific lighting is carefully highlighted in the composition. These considerations of light nuances provide a sense of depth and realism to the watercolor, enriching each element and making the scene even more engaging for the viewer. It's essential to avoid letting the background overshadow the foreground, as the goal is to achieve a perfect balance between the different layers of the painting. Through color contrast and detail refinement, we aim to bring the main elements to life and create a captivating atmosphere that engulfs the viewer. It's true that in watercolor, we can't achieve extremely precise details like in other techniques, but it's precisely this spontaneity and creative freedom that make this art form unique and enchanting. In the part with the guitar, I had the idea of including the strings but ended up forgetting during the process. I could have added the strings with a white gel pen, charcoal pencil, or even white watercolor paint. Watercolor paint, in particular, is great for creating precise white details in the painting, but I chose not to use it this time as I wanted to maintain a quicker and less detailed approach. In the background part, I used a simple technique to create a forest effect. I started by applying the lighter paint at the back and then added the darker color at the front. This approach creates a sense of depth and gives a natural touch to the scenery. For the pants, the process was similar. First, I applied a wash of blue paint, and then I removed the excess with a dry brush to achieve a lighting effect. Next, I added the darker areas using a mix of black and blue paint. To finish, I sped up the drying process with a hairdryer. It's worth noting that in this painting, I chose not to add too many details as I wanted a more free and fluid style. The result is a spontaneous and distinctive watercolor. I hope you enjoyed the process and the final outcome. And don't worry, I'm planning to create more videos explaining the entire artistic process in detail. So, if you liked it and want to see more watercolors and techniques, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends.